Cyber Threat Brief for April 18, 2026. Microsoft Defender 0 days are being actively exploited with 2 still unpatched. Patchy ActiveMQ gets a 13-year-old remote code execution added to CISA. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, KEV, known exploited vulnerabilities catalog, with a 2-week patch deadline. Payouts King ransomware uses Chemu virtual machines to hide from endpoint security while stealing domain credentials. Here's the full breakdown of today's top security stories. Daily Security Brief, 2026-0418. Next section, Critical Alerts. 3 Microsoft Defender 0 days under active exploitation, CVE 2026-33825. Microsoft Defender is under attack through 3 zero-day vulnerabilities collectively known as Blue Hammer, Red Sun, and Undefend. All 3 are being actively exploited in the wild. Blue Hammer, CVE 2026-33825, EPSS, the exploit prediction scoring system, 0.0/12th percentile, was patched in this week's Patch Tuesday, but Red Sun and Undefend remain unpatched. Blue Hammer and Red Sun enable local privilege escalation, while Undefend triggers denial of service and blocks definition updates. Huntress observed exploitation starting April 10 for Blue Hammer, with Red Sun and Undefend exploitation beginning April 16. These exploits followed typical enumeration commands indicating hands-on keyboard activity. All 3 flaws were disclosed by researcher Chaotic Eclipse in response to Microsoft's handling of the vulnerability disclosure process. Action Patch CVE 2026-33825 immediately via this week's updates. Monitor for the other 2 exploits. Watch for privilege escalation attempts following enumeration commands like whoami/priv, cmdkey/list, and netgroup. Sources: The Hacker News. Patchy ActiveMQ 13-year-old remote code execution added to CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, KEV, known exploited vulnerabilities catalog, CVE 2026-34197. CISA added CVE 2026-34197 to the known exploited vulnerabilities catalog with a patch deadline of April 30. This remote code execution flaw in a patchy ActiveMQ has been hiding in the codebase for 13 years. The vulnerability allows authenticated users to execute arbitrary code via the Jalokia Management, API. The flaw was discovered using Anthropic's Claude AI by Horizon 3 researcher Naveen Sunkavalli. Many deployments use default credentials, admin, making authentication trivial. On ActiveMQ versions 6.0.0 through 6.1.1, CVE 2024-32114, EPSS 0.20/84th percentile, exposes the Jalokia API without authentication, creating an unauthenticated RCE chain. Over 8,000 ActiveMQ instances are publicly exposed according to Shadow Server Monitoring. Action: Patch to ActiveMQ 5.19.5 or 6.2.3 by April 30. Check for default credentials. Block external access to Jalokia API. Federal agencies under BOD 2021 must patch or document exceptions by deadline. Sources: The Register. SolarWinds Web Help Desk exploitation in Payouts King campaigns. CVE 2025-26399. CVE 2025-26399 is a SolarWinds Web Help Desk vulnerability being exploited by the Gold Encounter threat group in Payouts King ransomware campaigns. This vulnerability is on CISA KEV with a March 12 due date. EPSS 0.322/97th percentile. Recent attacks also leveraged exposed Cisco SSL VPN and Microsoft Teams social engineering, where attackers posed as IT staff to trick employees into installing Quick Assist. Action: If you missed the March 12 deadline, patch SolarWinds Web Help Desk immediately. Review VPN exposure. Train staff on Teams-based social engineering. Block Quick Assist downloads from non-IT channels. Sources: Bleeping Computer. Next section, Ransomware and Extortion. Payouts King ransomware uses Chemu VMs to bypass endpoint security payouts. King ransomware deploys Chemu virtual machines running Alpine Linux to evade endpoint detection. Security solutions on the host cannot scan inside VMs, allowing attackers to execute payloads, store malicious tools, and create covert SSH tunnels. Sophos documented 2 campaigns. Stack 4713, linked to Payouts King, active since November 2025, and Stack 3725, exploiting Citrix Bleed 2/CVE 2025-5777 in NetScaler. The Stack 4713 campaign creates a scheduled task named TPM Profiler to launch hidden Chemu VMs as system. The VM includes Adaptix C2, Chisel, BusyBox, and Arclone. Initial access vectors include exposed Sonic Wall VPNs, SolarWinds Web Help Desk exploitation, CVE 2025-26399, exposed Cisco SSL VPN, and Microsoft Teams phishing with quick assist abuse. Host infection, attackers use VSS to create shadow copies, then extract NTDS, DIT, SAM, and system hives. In both campaigns, attackers sideload Havoc command and control via AD Notification Manager, EXE, and exfiltrate data using Arclone to remote SFTP. Zscaler links payouts King to former Black Basta affiliates based on similar tactics. The ransomware uses AES 256 CTR with RSA 4096, terminates security tools via low-level system calls, and employs intermittent encryption for larger files. Action: block Chemu execution outside approved virtualization workflows. Monitor for scheduled tasks launching virtualization tools. Watch for SolarWinds Web Help Desk CVE 2025-26399 exploitation. Block quick assist social engineering via Teams. Monitor for AD Notification Manager, EXE sideloading, and Arclone SFTP exfiltration. Sources: Bleeping Computer. Former Black Basta affiliates automating executive targeting. ReliaQuest reports that former Black Basta affiliates are evolving the gang's social engineering playbook into faster, more automated attacks targeting senior leadership. Black Basta was active from early 2022 until its internal chat logs leaked in February 2025. The new campaign uses a two-pronged approach: mass email bombing to overwhelm the target's inbox, followed by Microsoft Teams help desk impersonation to gain remote access. In some cases, attackers moved from initial chat engagement to executing malicious scripts in as little as 12 minutes. This represents a significant acceleration of the social engineering timeline. Action: implement email bombing detection and automated response. Train executives on Microsoft Teams impersonation tactics. Monitor for rapid progression from initial contact to script execution. Consider additional verification steps for remote access requests via Teams. Sources: data breaches. Net. Scattered Spider member Tyler Buchanan pleads guilty. Tyler Robert Buchanan of Scotland pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. Between September 2021 and April 2023, Buchanan and co-conspirators conducted cyber intrusions and virtual currency thefts targeting entertainment companies, telecom firms, technology companies, BPO/IT suppliers, cloud communications providers, and individuals. They defrauded at least a dozen companies and employees throughout the U.S. Buchanan faces sentencing on August 21 with a statutory maximum of 22 years. His co-defendant Noah Michael Urban, King Bob, was sentenced to 10 years and $13 million in restitution in August 2025. Three other defendants, Ahmed Hassam Eldin Elbadoy, Evans Aniika Osibo, and Joel Martin Evans, still face charges. Sources: data breaches. Net. Next section: IOCs and detection. Mirai variant Nexcorium exploits TBK DVRs. CVE 2024-3721, Nexcorium. A Mirai variant exploits CVE 2024-3721, CVSS, the Common Vulnerability Scoring System, 6.3, EPSS 0.839/99th percentile. In TBK DVR 4104 and DVR 4216 devices to deploy botnet malware. Attack chain downloads a script that launches architecture-specific payloads with the message, Nexus Corp has taken control. The malware includes an exploit for CVE 2017-17215 targeting Huawei HG 532 devices and hard-coded credentials for telnet brute force attacks. If successful, it establishes persistence via crontab and systemd, connects to C2 for DDoS commands, UDP, TCP, SMTP, then deletes the original binary to evade analysis. The malware supports multiple architectures and downloads pre-built command handlers as source code from the server, compiling them on the infected machine to reduce its static footprint. Unit 42 also observed automated scans attempting to exploit CVE 2023-33538, CVSS 8.8, EPSS 0.911/100th percentile, CIS KEV due July 7, 2025, in end-of-life TP-Link routers, TLWR 940N, TLWR 740N, TLWR 841N. The observed attacks were flawed and failed, but the underlying vulnerability is real and requires authentication to the router's web interface. The attacks attempt to deploy Mirai-like malware with source code referencing the string Condi. Action: replace TBK DVR devices or isolate them from networks. Replace EOLTP link routers. Block telnet access. Monitor for crontab/systemd persistence mechanisms. Watch for post-infection binary deletion patterns. Sources: The Hacker News. Aging fly malware targets Ukrainian government and hospitals. Ukraine's CERT-UA uncovered campaign, UAC 0247, using aging fly malware to target local governments, hospitals, and possibly defense personnel. The attack starts with phishing emails disguised as humanitarian aid offers containing malicious shortcut files. These trigger scripts and loaders that deploy aging fly, a C-hash malware providing remote control. Capabilities include command execution, file theft, screenshots, keylogging, and payload deployment. The malware uses PowerShell to update configurations and retrieves C2 details through Telegram. It downloads command handlers as source code from the server and compiles them locally to reduce static footprint and evade signature-based detection. Attackers use Chrome Elevator for browser credential theft, ZA PyDesk for WhatsApp decryption, and Rust Scan, LegalONG, and Chisel for reconnaissance and lateral movement. CERT-UA documented at least a dozen impacted organizations. Action: block LNK, HTA, and JavaScript file execution. Restrict PowerShell and MSHTA. EXE: monitor for compilation of downloaded source code. Watch for Chrome Elevator, ZA PyDesk, Rust Scan, LegalONG, and Chisel. Humanitarian aid emails should be treated as high-risk phishing vectors. Sources: Sentinel-1 blog. Next section: Business and Infrastructure Threats. Windows Server 2025 rogue upgrade issue, marked resolved, after boot loop fix. Microsoft declared, resolved the 2024 issue, where security updates unexpectedly upgraded Windows servers to Server 2025. The incident has been closed as of KB 5,082,063, though this cumulative update introduces its own issue. Non-global catalog domain controllers in environments using Privileged Access Management Experience (LSAS) crashes during startup, causing repeated reboots and potentially rendering the domain unavailable. Microsoft blamed the original 2025 upgrade issue on third-party patch management tools, not properly interpreting the optional update classification, though several administrators reported servers without third-party tools also received the unwanted upgrade. Microsoft promises a fix for the boot loop problem in the coming days. Action: test KB 5,082,063 before deployment. If running PAM with non-GC domain controllers, delay this update until Microsoft releases the LSAS crash fix. Have domain controller rollback plans ready? Sources: The Register. Nginx UI authentication bypass under active exploitation. CVE 2026-33032. CVE 2026-33032. EPSS 0.50/90th percentile. A critical authentication bypass in Nginx UI is being actively exploited to hijack servers. This vulnerability allows attackers to bypass authentication and gain control of Nginx UI instances. Exploitation has been observed in the wild. Action: patch Nginx UI immediately. Review access logs for unauthorized authentication bypass attempts. Consider isolating Nginx UI management interfaces from public networks. Sources: Sentinel-1 blog. W3LL phishing platform dismantled. Developer arrested. The FBI, working with Indonesian authorities, dismantled the W3LL phishing platform, seized its infrastructure, and arrested its alleged developer. W3LL kits sold for $500 and enabled criminals to clone login portals, steal credentials, bypass MFA, multi-factor authentication, using adversary-in-the-middle techniques, and launch business email compromise attacks. More than 25,000 compromised accounts were sold through the W3LL store marketplace, fueling over $20 million in attempted fraud. After the storefront shut down in 2023, operations continued through encrypted channels under new branding. The platform was used against over 17,000 victims worldwide and helped more than 500 threat actors commit financial fraud. Sources: Sentinel-1 blog. North Korean IT worker scheme sentencers imposed 2 U.S. nationals receive sentences for helping North Korean IT workers pose as American residents and secure remote jobs at over 100 U.S. companies, including Fortune 500 firms. Between 2021 and 2024, the scheme generated over $5 million for the North Korea and caused about $3 million in losses to victim companies. The defendants used stolen identities from over 80 U.S. citizens, created fake companies and financial accounts, and hosted company-issued laptops in U.S. homes so North Korean workers could secretly access corporate networks. Kejia Wang received 9 years, while Jiangsing Wang received over 7 years. The broader network remains active with additional suspects at large. Action: verify remote worker identities thoroughly. Watch for laptop forwarding schemes. Monitor for unusual remote access patterns. Review background checks for remote hires going back to 2021. Sources: Sentinel-1 blog. Grinex Exchange blames Western intelligence for $13.7 M hack. Kyrgyzstan-based cryptocurrency exchange, Grinex, suspended operations after a $13.7 million hack it attributes to Western intelligence agencies. Grinex is believed to be a rebrand of Garantex, a Russian exchange whose admin was arrested and domains seized for processing over $100 million in illicit transactions. The U.S. Treasury sanctioned Grinex in August 2025 for continuing Garantex operations. The theft occurred April 15 at 12:00 UTC. Stolen USD was sent to Tron and Ethereum addresses, converted to TRX and ETH via SunSwap to avoid Tether freezing the stablecoins. TRM Labs identified 70 attacker addresses and discovered a simultaneous hack at TokenSpot, another Kyrgyzstan exchange with Grinex ties. TRM links TokenSpot to Houthi-linked laundering, weapons procurement, and Moldova influence operations. No technical evidence supports the Western intelligence attribution claim. Sources: The Hacker News bleeping computer. Next section, Windows/Active Directory security. Microsoft Defender predictive shielding disrupts domain compromise. Microsoft published a case study on how predictive shielding in automatic attack disruption contained an Active Directory domain compromise. Predictive shielding focuses on moments when credentials are likely exposed. When Defender detects high-confidence credential theft activity on a device, it proactively restricts the accounts that might have been exposed there, limiting lateral movement and high-impact identity operations. This approach addresses the speed gap, where attackers can reuse newly exposed credentials faster than responders can scope, reset, and clean up. The case study demonstrates how exposure-based containment stopped an attacker who had achieved domain-level control. Once an attacker obtains domain administration rights, they can change group memberships and ACLs, mint Kerberos tickets, replicate directory secrets, and push policy through group policy objects. The capability is available for Microsoft Defender for Endpoint P2 customers who meet prerequisites. Sources: Microsoft Security Blog. Next section, General Security News. AI ghost narratives create crisis response challenges. Cyberscoop reports on 3 types of AI-generated fake narratives causing crisis response issues. First, language models generate entirely fictional breach stories with specific, technical details that appear convincing. Before companies realize the breach didn't happen, reporters request comment and companies mobilize communications teams. Second, website redesigns assign new URLs and timestamps to old breach articles, causing AI-powered news aggregators to flag resolved incidents as fresh stories. Third, AI generates fake quotes attributed to real security researchers, and publications run them as fact. Sullivan and Callow recommend that entities develop non-incident response plans, including quick response to journalist inquiries and proactive website/social media notices when fake claims emerge. For journalists, the article raises unresolved questions about verifying AI-generated quotes when it's unrealistic to contact everyone quoted in news stories. Sources: Data breaches. Net. Anthropic CEO meets White House on Mythos security implications. Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei met with White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles on Friday to discuss national security implications of Mythos, the company's new AI model capable of finding and exploiting software vulnerabilities. The model is so powerful that Anthropic restricted access to roughly 50 organizations, Microsoft, Apple, Oz, CrowdStrike, and other critical infrastructure vendors, under Project Glasswing. The meeting reflects the paradox of the Trump administration attempting to blacklist Anthropic over Pentagon AI disputes, while simultaneously engaging with the company over Mythos risks. Bruce Schneier notes in his analysis that we lack critical information to evaluate Anthropic's decision. The false positive rate, how well Mythos performs on software outside its training distribution, industrial control systems, medical devices, bespoke financial infrastructure, older embedded systems, and whether 50 companies can substitute for distributed expertise of the entire research community. Schneier argues that domain specialists in underrepresented fields could use Mythos as a force multiplier to probe systems Anthropic's engineers lack expertise to audit. Sources: Data breaches. Net. Schneier on security. EU age verification app hacked within 2 minutes. The European Commission unveiled a mobile age verification app in Brussels on Wednesday. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen presented the open-source tool as technically ready for use as countries move to ban kids from social media. Cybersecurity and privacy experts immediately examined the source code on GitHub and reported glaring privacy and security problems with the app's design within minutes of release. Sources: data breaches. Net. Atlassian mandates AI training data collection for lower tiers starting August 17. Atlassian will collect customer data to train its AI models. Metadata collection, readability scores, task classifications, semantic similarity scores, story points, sprint dates, SLA times is mandatory for free, standard, and premium customers with no opt-out. Lower tiers have in-app data collection, Confluence page content, Jira descriptions/comments, custom emoji names, workflow names turned on by default but can opt out. Enterprise customers have in-app collection off by default. Metadata is de-identified and aggregated, stored up to 7 years. Exceptions include customers using customer-managed keys, BIOC, Atlassian Government Cloud, Isolated Cloud, HIPAA compliance requirements, and some government/financial services customers. Once opted out or apps deleted, in-app data is removed within 30 days and models retrained within 90 days. Action: review your Atlassian tier. If on free/standard/premium, understand that metadata collection is mandatory starting August 17. If concerned about in-app data, configure opt-out before deadline. Consider enterprise upgrade for full control. If terminating, do so before August 17 when new settings take effect. Sources: the register. Next section, patch priority. Microsoft Defender CVE 2026-33825. Patch immediately. 2 related 0 days remain unpatched. Apache Active MQ5.19.5/6.2.3. CIS-AKEV, April 30 deadline, 13-year-old RCE under exploitation. SolarWinds Web Help Desk CVE 2025-26399. CIS-AKEV, missed March 12 deadline, used in payouts King campaigns. TBK DVR CVE 2024-3721. Replace or isolate Mirai botnet exploitation. Engine XUI CVE 2026-33032. Critical authentication bypass under active exploitation. Next section, vulnerability disclosures. Chromium vulnerabilities in Microsoft Edge. Microsoft released updates for Edge, Chromium-based, addressing multiple Chromium CVEs. CVE 2026-6296, heap buffer overflow in Angle, EPSS 0.0/6th percentile. Type confusion in V8, EPSS 0.1/21st percentile. Use after free in video, EPSS 0.1/21st percentile. Out of bounds read in Skia, EPSS 0.0/8th percentile. Insufficient policy enforcement in cores, EPSS 0.0/1st percentile. Uninitialized use in accessibility, EPSS 0.0/6th percentile. Updates are available through Chrome releases and 5 additional CVEs. See show notes for the full list. Sources: MSRC Security Update Guide. Next section, breach notifications. Oklahoma Tax Commission, 18-month undetected breach. The Oklahoma Tax Commission suffered a breach lasting 18 months, July 2024 to December 2025, before detecting unauthorized access to W-2 and 1,099 files in their online taxpayer portal. The main filing indicates 14 Maine residents affected but does not reveal total victim count. Oklahoma's breach transparency page lists the incident but states it is not clear how many individuals were affected. Sources: data breaches. Net. Northern Ireland C2K school system restored after cyber attack. The C2K network, managed by the Education Authority, which provides all online and IT systems for Northern Ireland schools, was largely restored after a cyber attack last week. The attack left all schools and pupils unable to log into their accounts during exam season. The EA reports 414,000 user accounts, pupils, teachers, non-teaching staff have been successfully reconnected. A 16-year-old boy was arrested in Portadown, County Armagh, on suspicion of Computer Misuse Act offenses and released pending investigation. Sources: data breaches. Net data breaches. Net. Next section, trends and context. The most significant pattern today is attackers weaponizing legitimate tools and trusted infrastructure to evade detection. Payouts King uses Kemu virtual machines to hide from endpoint security. Former Black Basta affiliates exploit Microsoft Teams' trusted position for help desk impersonation. North Korean IT workers use legitimate remote work infrastructure to access corporate networks. This trend makes traditional security controls less effective and requires behavioral analysis rather than signature-based detection. The second pattern is the acceleration of attack timelines. Black Basta affiliates move from initial Teams contact to malicious script execution in 12 minutes, while the 13-year-old Apache Active MQ flaw demonstrates how long vulnerabilities can hide before weaponization. Finally, AI is introducing new challenges both as a force multiplier for attackers, mythos finding vulnerabilities, and as a source of misinformation, ghost breach narratives requiring crisis response. That concludes today's Cyber Threat Brief. From Carolina, Clear Tech. Stay patched, stay vigilant.